Episode 7, discussing Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 6, Blood of My Blood. Alright, I'm here again with Kate. Hello, Kate.
Hello.
So, what do you want to talk about tonight?
Let's go ahead and start north of the wall with Bran. They started the episode here where they left off with last episode. And we finally got to see that we got Cold Hands, who's Benjen Stark, at least in the show.
Yeah, I wonder how many show watchers forgot about him. We haven't seen him since the beginning of Season 1. So that's a pretty long time for a show to keep someone out of the picture. They teased him to us last season, maybe as a reminder, so we would kind of be ready.
Yeah, when Jon Snow was killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of book readers have been really speculating whether or not Cold Hands was going to make it in, and he's the one who helped Mira, Jojen, Hodor, and Bran actually find the Three-Eyed Raven in the books. So I actually feel that I can believe that they've got a shot now at surviving.
Yeah, so in the books, Cold Hands does a lot of things. He helps them all get to the tree. So at this point in the books, they're all at the tree. But he also goes to Craster's Keep and kills off the mutineers who killed Lord Commander Mormont. So Jon doesn't go back there like in the show, but Cold Hands takes care of that. And whether or not it's Benjen Stark in the books, we have yet to see. George R. R. Martin has said that it is not Benjen Stark. So that's interesting. It's, of course, that was the most widely assumed person that it would be, but George claims that it is not.
Yeah, and this might be a diversion of the show and the books, but I was actually quite happy to see him, and he seems very knowledgeable and useful to have around, so that's good. And I thought it was interesting that he was giving Bran blood to drink. Is this significant in any way? Is it just to hydrate him? Because wasn't the Three-Eyed Raven also called the Blood Raven?
Right, yeah. And, yeah, sorry, no, Blood Raven was specific to Brynden. Brynden Blood Raven became the Three-Eyed Raven. So I don't even know if that was his name in the show. But I guess Bran is now the Three-Eyed Raven, and he's had everything that the Three-Eyed Raven wanted to teach him downloaded into his brain. And those are those flashbacks we got.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and they gave us a bunch of breadcrumbs, and I feel like a lot of people are probably going to be pausing, looking at all those images, and seeing what's there. We got some scenes of the Mad King.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, for anyone who might not know, that is Daenerys' father. So going crazy, and then Jaime Lannister killing him.
Yeah, but I mean, I know there was a little bit of when Robb died, and Ned asking for his sister, so I think that's another breadcrumb, and I'm interested to see more of Bran's visions here, and as he tries to make sense of them.
Yeah, we should probably rewind that and watch it too. But yeah, that was good. That's important stuff. Anything else with Bran?
No.
Oh yeah, quickly, so from last week, it looked like the guy that the Children of the Forest stabbed to make into a White Walker was the Night's King. But I was remembering that, at least per the books, the Night's King was not the first White Walker. The Night's King was the 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, who fell in love with a white woman. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, it's interesting. That was after the whites already existed, and after the war between the humans and the Children of the Forest and the White Walkers, that's when the Night's King was created, or came to exist. So that's maybe a big difference. I could see why they wouldn't get into any of that in the show, but it's actually kind of nice for us book readers because the show is not spoiling all that much. We'll still have so much to learn from the books.
Right, yeah, I think there are going to be a lot of differences between the show and the books at this point now.
Yeah. All right, so
yeah, there was no Wall or Winterfell this episode, so I feel like we can go probably directly to Horn Hill, which is the first time we've ever seen that.
But yes, then we went to the Tarly family. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool, I guess.
Yeah, his dad is a total a-hole, but I know we already knew that because of how Sam ended up at the Wall, but man, he's mean.
Yeah, that's supposed to be his character, and he's supposed to be a great warrior. I don't know if you remember from last season where Stannis meets Sam and he says, "Oh, you're Randall Tarly's son. You don't look like a warrior." And Randall Tarly was the only person to ever defeat Stannis' brother Robert during Robert's rebellion. So in the nerd Game of Thrones fan, there's kind of a debate over who the best military commander is, and a lot of people think it was Stannis, which didn't work out in the show, and a lot of people think it's Randall Tarly. He's really, really an accomplished warrior and battle commander, so that's why he looks so much down on his weakling coward son, who has strengths of his own in different areas, but his dad is just too blind to see him.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised that Gilly so easily revealed that she was a wildling. I definitely thought she was better at keeping secrets than that, but
Well, apparently not.
yeah. And the moment that Lord Tarley started bragging about that Valyrian steel sword, I knew that Sam was going to take it. And
Yeah, did you? I did not know that.
yeah.
When they were taking it and they're talking, I was like, "Shut up, shut up!
No,
You're
at
talking
the
too
dinner
loud."
table when Tarley was like, "That's been in our family for 500 years."
No, I know that. I'm talking about the next scene where he was stealing it.
Right.
I was telling him to shut up because they were making too much noise. I guess I didn't expect that, really. I expected everything else to happen exactly as it did, but it's like we went there just to meet his dad for a split second, and I guess to steal the sword, and then gone.
Right. I mean, Sam was so easily swayed to have Gilly and young Sam come with him after all. Well, he learns at the Citadel, so I was a little like, what? Okay. But, all right, I guess they got to keep them together in the storyline.
Yeah, I thought it would go down mostly the same as it did, except that I thought he would still leave them there, and I didn't think he would steal the sword. But yeah, no, Randall Tarley, he's a hard ass. When they first cast Al Swearingen, what's that actor's name?
Ian McShane.
Ian McShane. When I heard that they were casting him, my first thought was that, oh, that must be Randall Tarley. And it wasn't, but he would have been a great Randall Tarley as well. But this guy did a good job. Okay. Arya next, I guess?
I guess let's just add in really quick, we got a brief scene of the twins.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was just really brief. Walder Frey still a total nut job, but I mean, it's just kind of fun to expect that family's going to go down for everything that they've done, and all the pack members that he had for the Red Wedding, Roose Bolton and Tywin Lannister, are dead now, so they don't really have anyone backing them anymore. So they're not really that strong. I don't really expect Ramsay to uphold his dad's commitments with that. They might, but it seems like a loose pact at this point.
Well, there was a little nugget of information there, too, and that is that the Brotherhood without banners is causing problems for them.
Yes, I caught that as well. So I think that the Brotherhood without banners is wreaking some havoc with the phrase. And Lord Edmure is back. I'm a huge fan of that actor, Tobias Menzies, who stars in Outlander right now. He's pretty good.
Yeah, that's another one that the show watchers might have forgot about. We haven't seen him since the Red Wedding. And the Brotherhood without banners, for anyone that doesn't remember, is Beric Dondarrion. That's the guy that the Hound killed in the fight in the cave, and he was brought back to life. So he was the first person that we saw return back to life from a red priest who was Thoros of Myr, and that kind of laid the groundwork for Jon's return. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what role they have to play, if any, and how they might bring certain characters together.
Yeah, and I think at this point, the show is actually setting up to be on par with the books when it comes to the phrase Blackfish, Jaime Lannister, and Brienne.
Yeah, it's a lot of big players all converging on the same spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I predicted last week that if they were going to send Jaime to the Riverlands, they would have to tie things up in King's Landing pretty quickly. And so apparently there's some converts over there.
Yeah, so let's go to King's Landing. And I mean, I think that's the huge question here. Is Margaery acting, or is she really converted?
Based on last week's episode, she must be acting, because she's doing, Loras was begging for her to do anything to get out of it, so. But Tommen is probably not acting. He's probably just doesn't know what the hell's happening, that Margaery probably thinks that she can control him, and then the High Sparrow now probably thinks that he can control him. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to happen there.
Yeah, I thought she looked pretty pleased when the Tyrell army showed up, and she definitely seems like the type of character to have a long game, and that can hold out for that. She was raised by Lady Olenna, who doesn't give up easily, so I'm very much inclined to think that Margaery is not a real convert, but she's just biding her time so that she's attracted to power, and clearly the High Sparrow has the power, and so I think she's been aligning herself with that until the next person who's going to have more power, and she can do that. She seems to be very good at that. I do find it really interesting that Cersei wasn't keeping a better eye on her son, her only child left, who's been engaging with the High Sparrow with all of this. I just found that part kind of funny.
Yeah, it all happened a little bit fast, and I guess it was the only way they could do it to make it unexpected, because looking back at it now, I should have known that Tommen would walk out of there as a convert, but at the time, I thought they were going to do something else. But, I was thinking, from Tommen's perspective, it actually seems like a great thing, a peaceful resolution to this big problem and uniting the two strengths in the city, he could come off as a great peacemaking king, even if it was totally by accident or through manipulation. The complete catastrophe was averted, and everything is back as it should be, apparently.
You had mentioned a couple podcasts ago, I think it was now, that, hey, is this High Sparrow just manipulating Tommen and really all the rest of them? And I think he was, just based on, Mace Tyrell, he just doesn't know what's going on. And Lady Olenna being, like, hey, he outplayed us. But they specifically had that where Tommen gives his little speech, and then Marjorie and the High Sparrow both move to stand up next to him. And I distinctly got this feeling like, oh, the High Sparrow is definitely playing the Game of Thrones here.
So that's the big concern, is Tommen just going to be a puppet of the High Sparrow now, and High Sparrow has the biggest army in Westeros behind him, which would make him, the de facto king of Westeros. It all happens a little suddenly, but yeah, that was a great power play on his part, if that's the case. I don't know if you noticed the Kingsguard that came out with Tommen, their chest plates had embroidered 7-pointed stars on them. So they must have found Gendry and had him build some armor really quick for him. So they had that super fast. But so apparently now the army, or at least some of the army, has the faith, the symbols of the faith on them. So it's going to be a religious army now.
Yeah.
So we'll see how big it gets, but I don't know what to think about that.
Yeah, there's more to come, and clearly there wasn't a huge battle there, and we're going to start to not have too many episodes left here, and so we're going to see where the battles take place, but I guess there wasn't going to be one at King's Landing, at least for right now. Yeah,
one criticism I have of this episode is that you say we don't have many episodes left, and that's true, and then they're talking about only one more season, or like a kind of a longer season or something, so we don't have that many episodes left of the show altogether. And I thought tonight was lingered way too long on unnecessary stuff, which makes me kind of anxious as a show watcher, knowing that they're rushing along some storylines so fast, and then they're giving us, like, they showed that play again for like 5 minutes, the same one that we saw last week for like 10 minutes. And I don't know, I feel like they're eating up valuable screen time on unnecessary stuff and then rushing us through other things. If there's going to be like 4 more seasons, I wouldn't have a problem with that, but it's kind of making a weird feeling of displeasure in me.
Yeah. Well, I think there's going to be 2 more seasons after this, and I think in season 7 there's going to be like 7 episodes, and season 8 there's going to be like 6. And again, I don't think any of that's confirmed right now, but I think that's what's been thrown out there. And in terms of the play, yeah, I think the showrunners enjoyed it. I think they liked telling a story within their story, and that's what that was. And I think it was also their chance to have Arya view Joffrey's death. And so, like, I think that's more to please other people, and that just doesn't include you.
Well, I guess not, but it just doesn't add much to the story, I don't think. And I noticed, especially last week, they really lingered on it a long time, showing us the whole first season, essentially.
Well, and just I think how wrong storytelling can be. I guess what I mean with that is just like a lot of times you hear about people want to be spoken of in the songs and being a part of history, and I think this just goes to show of how quickly things just get muddled and incorrect, and the story is not really accurate at all.
Right, Cersei's the loving mother in the play, and
Ned being this buffoon.
Right.
Yeah, so...
Okay, so that takes us to Arya, and she quite predictably returned to Arya Stark.
Yeah, we finally have Arya fully back. Her getting needled to me was the show's way of saying Arya has returned, and I'm really happy about that because I'm enjoying Arya's storyline, but if they had taken any longer on her training, I would really start to get bored at this point, so I'm happy about that.
Well, I guess now she's got the Faceless Men as an enemy, which somehow she's going to beat this other chick, which will be hard to believe because this other chick's been kicking her ass all season, but somehow she'll beat her. But if Jaqen really wanted her taken out, it would be no problem at all.
I could see him not caring. Clearly the waif has it out for her. She says, you promised me, and that sort of thing. I'm a little surprised that Jaqen Hagar did not see this coming, that, Arya was clearly Arya all along, but okay. But I feel like she's got this training, and I think she's going to leave Bravos now. Last podcast, I just want to clarify, when the guy who wears Jaqen Hagar's face was talking about the origins of the Faceless Men, I couldn't remember. I got the V screwed up, and I said Volantis, and it was actually Valyria, which I think is quite significant that the Faceless Men started in Valyria, and that it's strongly insinuated that they brought down slavery there. and that they worked in the mines, and then, how Valeria's destruction came about. So I'm not quite sure exactly how much more we know about Arya's storyline, but I feel like we might have a little bit more direction of where she might be headed from some of these clues we've gotten in the recent episodes here, but not a whole lot more. I just think we're getting something.
Well, let's backtrack a little bit. So anyone listening might not know, so any show watchers probably wouldn't know either. Valyria is where the Targaryens lived before moving to Westeros, and Valyria was mysteriously destroyed by possible natural disasters, possible something else. And we saw it in the show. That's where Jorah got Grey Worm, got grayscale, and all that stuff happened. So it's an old abandoned city where the Targaryens originated from. So you're saying you think that the Faceless Men brought about the doom of Valyria?
Well, I don't know, but there's at least, I think we can have speculation about it at this point, based on just that little snippet of the guy wearing Jaqen H'ghar's face and what he was saying of the origins of the Faceless Men, because that seems to play a role, and it's like, otherwise, what is all this for? And I hope it's not pointless, and I don't think it is. And I think Arya did pick up a lot of training here with her time in the House of Black and White.
I mean, did she? Unless she can wear faces with her, I don't see what she can do.
She might be able to.
Yeah, unless she stole some handful of faces and put them in her backpack.
She also may know how to get them.
Yeah.
Because she was there throughout all that process, so I think that she may have learned how to do that. Remember, Jaqen H'ghar was changing faces over in Westeros when he and Arya parted. So it's something that, as long as she's got the knowledge of how to do it, she can do it anywhere she goes.
Yeah, I guess that's a good tool.
And
but
she could probably evade them then if she wanted to.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. She'll have to deal with that angry girl first.
Yeah, the waif, I think they call her. And I mean, Arya's got Needle. I think she can take her. I mean, clearly she's going to, but...
And that was pretty much all the scenes, right? This was mostly just
we have Dany.
Setup episode. Oh, yeah, Dany.
I thought we were watching Avatar for a second when she came down on Drogon there.
Yeah, Oh, yeah. Oh, geez. Okay. So, last episode, build me 1,000 ships. And then tonight, she's like, how many ships do we need? And the guy's like, oh, we need 1,000 ships. It's like, oh, geez, come on, guys.
Yeah, they're really setting up that she needs some ships here. And so now it's like, okay, who's going to get there first? Is it going to be Yara and Theon, Euron, someone else? But yeah, ships seems to be a huge theme here. And
yeah, that was, I don't know, that was stupid.
It's interesting, too, because her brief exchange with, God, I keep forgetting his name. The guy that she hangs out with. Dario, yeah. Her brief exchange with Dario, it sounds like Dany might be more of a conqueror than a ruler.
Yeah, well, and they showed her daddy today, and he was a crazy person. Like, when I watched this show, I've long predicted that Dany would be the villain of the show, but maybe I'm wrong. But I'm not excited for her to arrive in Westeros. Like, she's gonna go there and do what? Kill people that we've gotten to like over the last 6 seasons, and I don't really... Or
get them to all bend the knee the way that the first Targaryens eventually did.
Yeah, it could happen, but it's just weird for me to see. So she's going to show up on the Greyjoy fleet to King's Landing, I suppose, and we'll just have to see where it goes, but I'm like, I'm just not that excited for it. I don't know. I'm not like rooting for her.
Yeah, you never really have been, and I'm curious to see where her storyline goes. I could see it going still a bunch of different ways. I think they still are setting up the dragon riders. She was talking about how the Calls always had like at least 3 blood riders, and they're all her blood riders now. But we know that there's 3 dragons. We know that Dany's riding one of the dragons. So I think it's fun to still speculate, who do you think the 3 dragon riders are?
So if we assume that there's 3 people to ride her dragons, that's been talked about a lot in the books, that there's 3 dragon riders.
Because there were 3 original dragon riders when the Targaryens conquered Westeros.
Right.
And she's got 3 dragons now.
Right. And I don't want to say who I think they are because that would spoil it. And I'm pretty sure I know who they are. But let's just say...
Well, how about we say if anyone doesn't want to know, you stop listening right now.
No, I'm just not going to say it.
Well, you're no fun then.
But I will say that I incorrectly thought a couple years ago that Shireen was going to be one of them.
Yeah, she's definitely not one of them.
Because a lot of people don't know, Baratheons are blood related to Targaryens.
Yes.
So if it takes someone with Targaryen blood to ride a dragon, I thought that Shireen would be one of them. And Dany, and then we can't say the other 2. It'll spoil too much. So I was going to talk about the theme of the episode. I haven't done this yet, but if you look at the name of the episode and then kind of reverse engineer it, you can see the themes. So the name of the episode was Blood of My Blood, and you just mentioned Danny's Blood Riders.
Yep.
So that was kind of a theme. Another one was Uncle Benjamin being blood to Brendan, or Bran.
Yeah.
Yep, so he's finding his blood. The Tarly family reunion, it's Blood of My Blood. Arya rediscovering herself, I guess you could throw that in there.
She's became Arya again.
And then Jaime and Cersei were having a little incest fest, which we haven't seen in a while. The fact that they were so lovey-dovey tonight makes me think that maybe that was the last time they're going to be like that.
Yeah.
And then Tommen and Marjorie were reunited as king and queen.
Well, and I thought it was so interesting, too, of just watching Jaime's face when he was watching Tommen coming out. Because that's his blood. That's blood of his blood right there. And you could tell he was just very conflicted about it.
And he even said, our son, when he was talking to Cersei, he was like, they've taken our son and corrupted our son or whatever. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of family dynamics going on in this episode. And I kind of wish we had done that in each of these podcasts now, you know, just 'cause it's kind of fun to think about afterward. But
well, and also Blood of My Blood, if we go back to Hornhill with Sam, where it shows, you know, people who actually have bloodline together of Sam and his father and how there's just little kinship there. And then Sam, who's supposedly this father to Gilly's baby, which he's not, but they're pretending, yet he's still more of a father to that baby than, he's just as good of a father than if he was biologically responsible for him. And so I think that's also an interesting thing to think about with the title.
Yeah. Right. It's not his blood, but might as well be.
Yeah. Yeah. And he is his dad's blood and might as well not be.
Yeah. Well, so all in all, I thought this episode was fairly weak. I liked it that it was setting up pieces and it set them up very broadly and told us a lot of things. So it looks like the next 4 episodes are ready to go. But this one on its own, I don't know, 6.5, something like that.
Yeah, there was still, I'm trying to remember which episode it was. It was 3 or 4 where I was like, because they were just moving chess pieces. And where this one, they were moving them much more, where I got a little bit more satisfaction out of it. But yeah, it was just more piecing us to the next episode where something major happens. But in all fairness, the season's going well, I think. We've had a lot of main characters go through some really big events so far. I like this season better than last season. I'm excited for Jaime's storyline, just because I'm trying so hard to forget about Dorne. So, like, I think they're doing well.
Well, certainly better than last season. Last season was pretty bad, except for the 2 or 3 good episodes. But yeah, like I said earlier, my big problem with tonight's episode is I just felt like they ate up precious screen time. Maybe just too long of things, and then also it was short. It was like 6 minutes short. But also I felt it was quite predictable. Everything from the Danny needing 1,000 ships to Cold Hands. I mean, we as book readers know who Cold Hands is, so I guess from the show that might have been a big surprise.
I like that part.
But,
I that part stood out for me of this episode.
Yeah.
Do you have any predictions for next week?
Or
in the next coming ones?
Yeah. Well, I think there's going to be a big battle. Oh, it's nice not to see Ramsay tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look how mean I am.
Yeah, I'm going to kill somebody. Yeah. So that was a nice break from Ramsay, from Jon, and from Tyrion. The main part of the show that's interesting to me right now is, I guess, the North. That's where the big action is going to take place. I hope the Mountain comes out and starts killing some people soon. We saw in the previews that he's going to crack some heads to some the church people, the faith. So maybe it's not all hunky-dory. Cersei looked not disturbed at all tonight and seemed a little cocky and arrogant. So maybe she's planning on the Mountain doing some stuff, some behind-the-scenes destruction.
Yeah. Well, we know that we've got that battle. Like they alluded it tonight. When Jaime and Cersei were talking of
the
her
trial.
By
combat, yeah.
So that's coming, and I think there's potential for that to be pretty interesting. I'm still predicting Bastard Bowl, which I feel is all but going to happen, which is going to be Jon against Ramsay. What else do we know? And Arya, something with Arya I think is going to be major.
Cool.
And then, Jon Snow's parentage, that's coming.
You think this season?
Yeah, I think they might give it to us last episode.
Okay. Well, all right, cool. So not quite as much to talk about with this episode, but I think we covered most of it. Anything else you want to say?
No.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.